Well, I've been a mortuary technician for 28 years now. Everything's been okay since then. You know, I've been doing it, enjoyed the job thoroughly all these years. I used to be a carpet weaver, and then I was made redundant during that, and then I didn't work for a few months, and then just looked really in one of the local newspapers, which was advertising for a mortuary technician, which really started as a joke, you know, because I said, I think I'll apply for this and see what goes on. And I applied for it, and I actually got the job. So it just, you know, turned in really from a joke to a serious thing, but it came out all right. All I was going to be when I grew up was a joiner, but that didn't come out neither. That didn't pan out. That's why I went to be a carpet weaver, and then to this job. I get various reactions. Some really don't want to say much about it after that. Once you find out where you work, it's changed the subject. Other ones, they want to know what you do. They've got to ask a few questions before they get to know what I really do, but you can't really tell them too much. You can just tell them the basics. You know, I work in a mortuary, I do post-mortems on people, but that's it, you know. You can't tell them in detail what you do, you know, because you're not really allowed. But that's the way it goes. The body is being transferred from the undertaker's trolley to our trolley. We have to look at the ID, make sure it's a person who it is, see if they've got any valuables on them, you know, rings, watches, necklaces, earrings, anything like that, all booked down in a book. We bring it from outside, inside, take it into the fridge room and transfer it into the fridge. And all the name, age if they can do, brought in dead, you just put BID in, the date, time, is usually booked down in what you call the mortuary book in here. These people might have been brought in here from the street. The only idea they've got is if they've got anything in their pockets or anything, but it still might not be them. You know, they might have picked this a wallet up or something from somewhere else. So the relatives have got to come in and make a proper ID, usually to the coroner, but we still have to put them out and seat at relatives sometime when they come in. You know, that's more or less all we have to deal with relatives. When we find out if it's for post-mortem, we go in there, take the body out of the fridge, bring it into the post-mortem room and transfer it from our trolley onto the table, ready for the post-mortem. Once we've removed all the organs from the body, we then have to remove the brain. Every brain in everybody has to be examined in case there's anything, you know, wrong with that brain, hemorrhages or anything like that. So what we have to do first is remove the scalp with a knife, then deflect it and bring it down at the back so that it exposes the skull. And then you get the electric saw, cut the skull open so that you can extract the brain. Nothing phased me out or anything at all. You know, it's more, I've always said it's more or less a job that's been waiting for me, because I've never, you know, no squeamish about anything like that whatsoever from day one, you know, and everything's gone fine. If it's somebody we know well, you know, we don't usually work on them. We get someone else to do that. If there's nobody here, say it's somebody in the hospital who we know very well, then you try and send them to somewhere else, send them to another hospital, probably go to Frimley and let them do it, the post-mortem, rather than us, because, you know, don't put you through that kind of thing, because even though we do this job, you're not hardened to everything, you know. And if it's a relative or somebody who you really know, it's not very nice, so we just have somebody else doing it. And you open the skull with what you call a T-piece, which you put into the cut area and force it open. Take the back off, and then you can get the brain out. All you have to do is to cut round the insides, cut the spinal cord off. The worst to look at and stuff like that is like maybe somebody who's been run over by a train, stood in front of a train, because it's not, you know, very much to look at really. But really worst thing upsetting is like children, you know, like especially if they've been in a fire or something like that. That is really bad, you know. You can't just be blasé about it. It is awful. Upsets you a bit, you know. But when you take the organs, over to the table, that's when the pathologist takes over, and he has to cut the organs up to find out what the person died of. When the doctor's finished his work, all the organs go back in the body, and then we have to sew it up and reconstruct it so that it looks, you know, normal, so that anybody, if they want, they can still come and view the body, even if after they've had a post-mortem. And then we do that, we clean up, put everything away, clean all the instruments, put the body away, put a shroud on it, cover it with a sheet, and take it back into the mortuary where the fridges are. Really, once you leave here, you have to put all this stuff behind you, you know, because you probably won't be able to go on working at a job like this if you took it home with you. You know, it's just something that could play on your mind if you let it. So you just have to put it behind you, lock these doors, and that's it. You know, it's finished with them. You just forget about it.